So, as I had up on the board, we are going to do 3 sections today, but the first 2 sections are going to be pretty easy because they're basically like exactly the same thing we did yesterday, except subtraction instead of addition. And I'm fairly confident that all of you guys have learned how to subtract at some point in your school career, so I don't think those 2 will be particularly difficult. We'll probably just do one example from each of those, and then we'll spend most of our time on the 3rd section, which is the inverse property of addition, and we're going to talk about that, what it means, and how it's set up. And it's going to be one of our first big keys and ways that we can use algebra to solve for these unknowns. It's a way so that we can stop using this guess and test over and over. Alright, so let's first look at decimal subtraction. So for our first little example in here, we are going to do kind of like we did yesterday. We're going to take 2 decimal numbers and we're going to subtract them. And just like when we're adding, what's the most important thing about how we're writing out our numbers? Lining up with what number? The decimal point, exactly. So if I have a question like this that says 18.08 minus 4.5, is it going to be easier for me to write it like this, or is there a better way for me to write it? Yeah, what better way is that?
You have to line 4 under the 8 on the whole number side, line up the decimals, put the 5 over the 0, and add the 0 next to the 5, because zeros don't change.
I like that, exactly. So now, I can kind of pretend that decimal isn't even there. I can just ignore it for now. And I'm just going to subtract like usual. So then I say 8 minus 0 is 8. 0 minus 5, can I do that? No. So I have to borrow, turn my 8 to a 7, turn this into a 10. 10 minus 5 is, oh, my decimal point comes down. 7 minus 4 is, and 1 minus 0 is 1. Because just like here, I can actually put a 0 here if I wanted, but it doesn't really matter or help anything. And we've been doing it long enough without it so that we know it just means a 0 there. Was that super difficult? Have you guys done this before at some point, probably in 6th grade?
Yep.
Yeah, so this is not particularly difficult. I think we know how to borrow and how to subtract, okay? Awesome, nice, done with chapter 2.7. You're still going to have to do the homework though. But we're done learning about it because I'm pretty sure you guys know how to do it. Let's go to example 2. So I'm going to put a little
Do we have to write that? It's good to. They already did. Mr. Dan, can we write example 1? Because then it looks like it's example 2 or the one that we just did.
Alright, the next thing we're going to do quickly is, just like after we did our addition, we did our decimal addition, we're going to do some front end estimation with subtraction. So, we're going to do like 2 examples of this, and it's the same thing that we did before. We're going to be focusing on our whole numbers and our tenths and ignoring the rest. And then we're going to subtract. So, for example, if we have these 2 numbers, I want to find the difference.
Minus what?
Sorry about that. Now, but this one's a little bit trickier because normally when we do our front end estimation, we only do the whole numbers and we do the tenths. But notice we have no whole numbers here. So instead, we want at least 2 digits of accuracy. So instead of our whole numbers and our tenths, we're going to just slide it down a little bit, and we're going to look at the tenths and the hundredths of both of these numbers and ignore the rest. Okay? So I have to notice that by seeing that, oh, there are no whole numbers here. The 0 doesn't count. It doesn't give me any information in that spot. So I am going to focus on this part of the number and this part of the number. So I can just say 0.22 minus 0.19. Right? Pretty easy. And then 2 minus 9, can't do that. So I have to borrow. So I have a 12. 12 minus 9 is? 12 minus 9 is? Oh, thank you. We're not all sleeping. 1 minus 1 is 0. And then I have to bring down my decimal point. And typically I do put a little 0 right in front of my decimal point. I don't have to, but that's kind of tradition dictates that I do that. Okay, that's a little front end estimation. Now sometimes you may be asked to round a digit before you add or subtract, just like you did with the addition. So be aware of that. Do we remember how to round?
Yeah.
Yeah? Danny, question? Oh, you're just stretching. Just stretching. Okay, let's do a quick little review of rounding before we go on to our last and final section. This is front end estimation. And I keep forgetting to call it that, so thank you for reminding me. Because it will say front end estimate these. And you're really looking for like the whole number and the tenth, or in the rare case that you don't have a whole number, you're going to do the tenth and the hundredth. Because it's really just getting like a gist, an idea of what these numbers will look like. We use it a lot like in money. Like if I'm shopping and I buy one thing that's like $4.17, one thing that's $12.19, I'm really only going to look at like the whole numbers to add up my total in my head. I don't necessarily need to know how many pennies I'm spending, but it's nice to know if I'm over 20 bucks, under 20 bucks, over 50, under 50. That's kind of the key there. All right, let's do a quick little rounding one. Let me see if we have any rounding in our questions first. We do. Okay, help me out with this one. Hang on, I'm going to tilt this a little bit. We're going to do example 3. I know how excited you are, Daniel. We're going to find the difference after rounding. Oops, let me put it up. To nearest hundredth. Alright, and our two numbers are, we have 63.383 minus 50.508. 63.383, or 63 and tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 63 and 383 thousandths, minus 50 and 580 thousandths. Remember, that's how I say these numbers. First, though, we're going to have to round to the hundredth place. Which place is my hundredth place? The second after the decimal. Because not my second place, because that would be my 3, and that's definitely not my hundredth, right? So I can always remember tenth, hundredth, thousandth, right? So I've got my 8. 8 is my rounding digit. What do I do then?
If it's over 5, round it up.
Right? I'm looking at the 8. Oh, I look to the number next to the 8, not what the 8 is, right? So I look at the 3. Is 3 5 and up? or is it below 5? So do I do anything with the 8? Nope. Leave it. Well, I can murder the 3 first. Clean up after my murder, because you don't want the cops to catch you. And then we'll write down our rounded number, 63.38, which is 63 and 38 hundredths. Over here, what is my rounding decimal? Sorry, my rounding digit. This 0, right? Then what do I do?
Look to the right.
This is an 8, so what do? I have to go up 1 in my rounding decimal. So my 0 turns into a 1, and everything else stays the same. Okay, now that I've rounded, I'm going to write it a little bit easier with one on top of the other, right? So I'm going to write it as 63.38 minus 50.51. And then I can just go with my normal subtraction. 8 minus 1, anyone? Thank you. 3 minus 5, oh, can't do that. Gotta borrow. 13 minus 5 is? Bring my decimal point down. 2 minus 0, thank you. And 6 minus 5. Oh, you guys have not been reminding me. I have not been putting boxes around all of my answers.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to get a 0 on my homework. I'm going to be in big trouble. Thank you guys.
Your mom's gonna get in trouble. You're gonna get in trouble with your mom.
And this is done 2.8. Okay, 1 second. Okay, I'm going to